our history in America is very nuanced and complex. You don't have a 1776 without 1619, but you can't talk about 1776 or 2021 without the others. So I think there's a role for CRT, but not for crazy race theory.
One of the biggest issues in Virginia's last gubernatorial election, and in debates about education nationally, even today, is whether critical race theory should be taught in public schools. Many flatly deny that it's even being taught, saying that it's at university level only. What are your thoughts on teaching CRT to kids?
Yeah, I've got a nuanced view on that because during the election, people were saying CTR isn't being taught in the schools because it's not a part of our standards of accreditation or standards of learning. So from a technical standpoint, that's true. But I spoke to too many parents who said, well, you can say that if you want to, but here's the book that my student is using in class. So it's going on. I've got a different view. My problem on face value isn't critical race theory, it's crazy race theory. And crazy race theory is focused on the fact that we're saying that all white people are evil by birth.
Right.
That somehow that they're bringing over our ancestors to Virginia in 1619 makes them culpable for life. That somehow they just can't get away from the original sin, and that until they do A, B, or C, nothing will change. I think crazy race theory overlooks the fact or the role that white people played in the civil rights movement. People who gave their lives to move American progress going forward. I call that crazy race theory. I'm not for that. Critical race theory, I don't think is radically different than what I was doing 30 years ago when I was a fifth grade teacher talking about the arrival of 20 Africans to Jamestown, Virginia. Mm-hmm. But I also said, well, remember in 1526, you had Spanish who brought Africans to Florida. And so if it's 1619, we can actually go back further. So I do think that we need to have a role. Do I think we need to have a critical conversation? Yes. Now, can critical race theory be divorced from crazy race theory? Yes. But I don't think that simply having a critical conversation about race, talking about our history, good and bad, is a bad thing. But I'm also glad to see 1776 and the role that Bob Woods and others are playing, because our history in America is very nuanced and complex. You don't have a 1776 without 1619. But you can't talk about 1776 or 2021 without the others. So I think there's a role for CRT, but not for crazy race theory.
I am so glad that you phrased it that way, because I absolutely 100% agree. And again, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to homeschool, because I didn't feel like people were getting our history correctly. And when my youngest was doing capoeira and we were studying the Afro-Brazilian slave trade and all those other things, I mean, absolutely it contributes to our worldview. But to treat, as you said, this whole kind of original sin that you can never get away from is crazy. And so I'm glad you framed it in that way.